Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to be unboxing our newest piece of rolling stock. This is the USA Trains G-Scale Uncle Sam's Coffee Simulated Wood Refrigerator Car. We purchased this car during our May visit to Charles Rowe Supply Company. We paid $65.95 for it, and if you wanted to find it online, it would be under the American Series rolling stock and the simulated wood refrigerator cars, and it would be the B&M Uncle Sam's Coffee. Alright, let's get unboxing, and then after we unbox and give it a nice detailed look, we'll take it out onto the railroad for a run. And there's a preliminary look at it there as we show it in front of the camera. We'll put it up on the track and the turntable, and we'll take a more detailed look at it. Okay, as with most of the USA Trains box cars, there is a little bit of assembly required here. We'll have to put the brake wheel and the brake wheel shaft on the car. We'll have to put the ladder rungs that go on the front corners up, and then we'll have to put on a couple of other details. But yeah, we'll get that all assembled, and then we'll show the car on the turntable. Okay, so there is some assembly required with these USA Trains G-Scale box cars. And so you'll see here that we've got some parts that came along with it, okay? So we'll just go through those real quick. You'll see over here that's mostly in the corners. You'll see here that there are holes right along this end of the car here. And then if you look at the end, there's another set of holes there. Now, I'm sure you can guess by looking at these parts that these are, ladder holes here, handholds or footholds there for the ladder going up the side. And that would be absolutely correct. So they come on a little tree like this, and you'll notice that some of them are missing off the tree. So what we did here was we did one corner, just so you can see what they look like put together. The one thing to be aware of, though, is that there are two different widths of these little handholds or footholds here, these ladder rungs, I guess. So if we take one off the tree, and these are very delicate, so you gotta kind of be careful. And I'll put one down there, and then we'll take another one off here. You should notice that there's two different widths. So you can see here this one is longer than this one, of course. The narrow ones go on the ends, right here, and then the wider ones go on the side. Now you won't be able to screw this up because the holes are, you can't really put the wrong piece in the wrong part. The wrong part in the wrong holes, because the holes are pretty, specific to the part. And then you get these little corner brackets here. And these corner brackets go up on the corner here. There's a hole over here and a hole over here for those to stick into. And then you'll have these little pieces right here. And these are the little kind of step up, I guess, here at the bottom of the car. So you step up and then up onto the ladder. And up there. So that's a lot of the assembly right there. Basically, just look for the holes on the car, look for the parts that match them, and that should do it. And then also, there's this little set of instructions right here. It's very brief, but it definitely is enough to give you the idea of what's going on. as far as putting this thing together. So there is one little special piece here, and that is the brake wheel. And on one end of the car, you're going to see there's this little assembly down here. And then you also get a brass pole, a wheel, and then this brake platform right here, this specialized piece. So this brake platform is going to go right in here. And we'll try to pop that in. One thing to be ready for is that these parts can be a little finicky. There's been several occasions where we've had to actually shave off a little bit of the piece. I don't know if Evan can zoom in here, but this little piece here on the end, the part that sticks into the plastic, sometimes it's a very tight fit, we've noticed on these, which is good because you don't really need glue for these. You can glue them in if you want to, but you don't really need glue. But sometimes they won't go in very easily, and you might be better off shaving a little bit off of there with the razor knife so that you don't end up bending the piece and breaking it when you're trying to force it into the hole. But anyway, we've got this little brake platform here. Again, this just kind of sticks right into its holes, and I could glue this again if I wanted to. We may come back and glue it after a while, you know, depending on how it sticks. Okay, so with that brake platform in there, you can then take your brass pole here, and then that just the end of the wheel just kind of pops on that. And then once that assembly is together, that just kind of drops down in a straight line right through to the bottom. And it'll stop on its own once it gets down there. So there's one end of the assembly. Again, we'll have to go over and do the other end. We'll probably do that offline before we do our run. Here you can see another couple of holes here. On this side here, that looks like it fits the wide bracket there, or the wide handhold there. Oh, nope, that's the narrow one. So we got a narrow one here. So again, just kind of look for the holes and then just find the right part. Yeah, so we'll finish up the assembly and then we'll put on the turntable and give it a spin. Okay, our assembly is done. We've got all of the footholds done. There's 3 on each side here, as you can see, 1 in the center and 2 on each end. We've got all our ladder rungs on both corners. There's 1 on this corner, 1 on this corner, and then there's a couple of miscellaneous ones as we move around the car, which we'll point out. So at the very end, you're kind of left with a couple of extras here. So we have 2 of the wider and 2 of the narrower, just in case you either broke one putting them on, or one falls off and gets lost. Like I said, we don't really glue these because they really fit by tension really nice. And so if we don't have to use glue, and risk getting like overspill and things like that, we don't. So get a couple extras here. We'll throw those in a part box for our USA trains, and they'll be ready to go. Now, one thing is that if you ever lose parts, and say you lose the extras or you can't find the extras and a part breaks that was part of the assembly, USA Trains has replacement parts for all this stuff. It's not hard to get at all. We've had to order a couple of extra things from there. So, if you found a bunch of the rungs fell off over time and you didn't have any extras, you can order all that stuff online at Charles Rowe. All right. One other thing before we continue is that the other thing, we didn't touch on this before, but the train comes equipped with hook and loop couplers, but they always give you a pair of knuckle couplers in case you want to change those out. Now, we always stick with the hook and loop because for us they're more universal. Almost all our stock has hook and loop, with a couple of exceptions. So we just stick with hook and loop, and then we'll throw these in a box of couplers that we have because we always have extras. There it is. It's all assembled. So next we'll give it a spin and we'll take a look around and look at all the detail. Okay, with the assembly done, let's take a detailed look. So as we said earlier, this is the USA Trains G-Scale American Series rolling stock simulated wood refrigerator car with the branding of Uncle Sam's Coffee. Okay, with the assembly done, let's take a detailed look. So as we said earlier, This is the USA Trains G-Scale American Series rolling stock simulated wood refrigerator car with the branding of Uncle Sam's Coffee. So hopefully you can tell just by looking at this just what a wonderfully detailed piece of rolling stock this is. The obvious feature here on the left is the kind of the advertising here on the side of the car, Uncle Sam's Roasted High-Grade Coffee. So I'm actually not 100% sure Uncle Sam's Coffee was a real company. I'm 99% sure because online I could not find a reference to the company itself, but I could find lots of other references, like in media where people are recreating signs for it and things like that. And I did find on one site that sold like signage for Uncle Sam's Coffee, they had a little blurb about the company. So I'm pretty sure it existed. If anybody out there knows for sure, definitely let us know in the comments. But yeah, so I like coffee, but I'm not particularly, wasn't drawn to the Uncle Sam's Coffee per se. What I was really drawn to was this other logoing over here, the Boston and Maine with the Minuteman logo. So we have a USA Trains Boston and Maine F3 AB unit. We've done a video on it before, and it's been in a couple of other videos of us just kind of running around the Garden Railroad. And so that is a really beautiful engine. We'll bring it out here at the end and show it to you, you know, with the logos here. But this is the only piece of rolling stock that I can find in G-Scale that actually has the Boston and Maine Minuteman logo. So when I saw this was just like an automatic buy for me. So like I said, we went up to Charles Rowe Supply Company in May. There's a video on that walkthrough, on that store walkthrough, if you want to check that out. And we bought that when during that trip. So anyway, that's kind of the history behind why we bought this particular car here. But as you can see, it's a wood-sided, or in this case, a simulated wood-sided refrigerator car. And you can kind of tell that by the doors here. You can see those kind of icebox style doors on the side there, which kind of gives it away. So that's really kind of a cool detail. And this door actually opens up. Yeah, so these doors here open up exactly the way you would expect them to in real life. So you just flip up this lever here, and then it just kind of rolls out, and the two sides of the doors open up. And as you can see inside there, there's a simulated wood floor in there as well. So there's that little detail kind of carries through. And then you just shut them back up the same way, and that little lever just again flips into that latch there. Yeah, very realistic as far as the reproduction of that door mechanism. All right, let's give it a turn. We're just going to kind of stop here on the 3/4 turn here and just show you that there's this nice kind of corner bracketing here and these heavy-duty bolts. Well, this heavy-duty bolt here at the bottom, and then you've got some bolt work here on these corner brackets, top, middle, and bottom. So that's kind of a nice detail here. So yeah, let's continue to turn. All right, and looking straight at the back, you can see here we've got the B&M, or Boston and Maine, as the carrier, and then you've got the number here, 23262 is the car number. And then you got some, I guess what you would call third-party, you know, notations here. These are Westinghouse air brakes, the type of air brake, the K2 triple, and then some other particulars about that. So again, just a nice level of detail here. And then these, of course, are the ladder rungs here that we just installed. And then you've got your hook and loop coupler back here. And again, I mentioned it earlier, I'll just mention it again. It does come with knuckle couplers that you can switch out. If you're a knuckle coupler railroader, then you can use those. If not, hook and loop. All right, let's give it a turn. again, here on this kind of 3/4, just to show you that complete corner there. These are the rungs that we put on the step. And then this little corner bracket here we put on as well. But that was what we had to assemble again for the corners there. All right, let's bring it around. Over on this corner here, you can see there's a lone step or a lone handhold right here. There's a step here, but just a lone thing. There's no ladder all the way up like there is on this side. But here on this side, this is an exact copy or a duplicate of the opposite side, so there's really nothing new to see over here. Yeah, so let's give it another turn. Okay, and this end here is identical to the opposite end except for in one regard here, and that's you've got your brake wheel assembly. So this is the brass pole and that wheel that we put together a little bit earlier, and then we attached the brake platform. And these two little guys here that receive the pole, you know, this thing that holds it in place, and then this that keeps it from dropping, just kind of dropping straight down. It's a little stop right here. This was already attached, so this you don't have to attach. The only thing you had to do was assemble the pole to the wheel, attach the brake platform, and then just drop the pole right down into that, and then it's all assembled. And then we've got our ladder over here that we had to assemble on this side. You got some access screws here on either end, and I'm not going to take those out, but I think if I did, that would probably release the roof off the top of the car. I have never done that before, so I can't say for sure, but it kind of makes sense the way they're positioned there. And again, you've got your corner brackets there, just wonderful detail on this car. All right, let's bring it around full circle. All right, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, one other functional detail that you can do on this piece of rolling stock is that the hatches, the 4 hatches in the corners of the roof also open up. Now these are extremely delicate, so I don't really make it a habit to open these, but it's kind of a nice detail that they do. And what you do here is that this little inside, the inside of this bar here flips up, and then there's like a little support that also allows you to prop that up. So that is a pretty cool detail on that as well. So the 2 functioning things again are the doors on the side, and then these hatches on the 4 corners of the top of the car, they also open up. Okay, looking at the roof, there's not a whole lot to tell up here. You've got these little platforms up here in the corner, and then in those platforms are these hatchways. And as we just saw, those individual hatchways do open up. That's a functioning lever right here. And then you've got the hinges right here, and of course those work if the hatch opens up. And all 4 of those open up, so that's pretty cool. And those are all simulated wood platforms there. You can see the bolts holding down those that platform on either end, and then you've got the bolt work and kind of the steel bracing with bolt work there on either end of the wooden hatches. And then those corner brackets, that's a nice top view of those corner brackets that we had to put on. That was part of the assembly, if you remember. And then right dead center is the walkway here. It looks like 2 sets of 3. We got a set of 3 here and a set of 3 here, of those. And those are all simulated wood as well, simulated painted wood. So, yeah, so that's the top. Okay, looking at the bottom here, this car has a lot of modeling detail on the bottom. So if you, starting from the kind of the furthest point back, you can see the planking, the white planking underneath that carries all the way across. So that's that antique white planking that you see there. There's also some framing underneath here in black, and then you can see some mechanisms down here, braking mechanisms or what have you, and then you can see some cylinders here, presumably air cylinders for the braking system. And then you've got these kind of these metal bracing here. This is the only metal part of the car right here, is these 4 pieces here that I think would serve as bracing of some sort. And then again, just the plastic parts that hold all those together. And there's some bolt work under there on the mechanics that looks pretty good. So yeah, just to give you a look at the bottom here. Then we got the trucks, double axle trucks. These are all plastic construction, plastic wheels, except for the axles. As you can see here, the axles are metal down there. But even on the bottom, we've got some bolt detail down there. And then you got a variety of screws here to kind of take things apart if you need to do replacement parts and that type of thing. Hook and loop couplers, of course, as we've mentioned before. Yeah, but again, to give you a look at the detail here, there's a little stamping on the bottom that says, I don't think you'll be able to read it here, but on all their rolling stock, it'll say Charles Rowe Manufacturing Company, Malden, Massachusetts. All of these cars are manufactured right at the Malden facility. So if you watch our video where we walk through the Charles Rowe Supply Company retail store, that building that we show from the outside, excuse me, that does everything. They do the manufacturing, they do the painting of these cars there. It's all done right in that facility. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a USA Trains F3 AB unit that we actually bought right at the Charles Rowe retail store used. This is one of our favorite engines. We absolutely love this engine. It just looks great, it runs great, both units do. But as you can see here, the F3 unit has the Minuteman logo, the Boston & Maine Minuteman logo right on the front. And of course, our new piece of rolling stock has the Boston & Maine Minuteman right there on the side. And so that's really the reason that we bought this car. I'm not particularly passionate about Uncle Sam's Coffee, although I do like the vintage Americana look to it, for sure. But yeah, the main draw for us was that Boston & Maine old school Minuteman logo. If you've ever seen the newer Boston & Maine stuff, it has that B over the M. It's not nearly as interesting, I don't think, as this logo here. So anyway, just wanted to kind of tie those two things together. Hey, to conclude here, our impression of the USA Trains G-Scale boxcars are, they're just a fantastic value. For the price point, the detail, the originality is just, to me, it's just a no-brainer to buy these. Again, this was like $65 and some change, and they're all priced about the same. So you just get basically, I think, this might be kind of over-exaggerating, but I think you get a real work of art here for the price point, and they look great on the railroad. We're going to take this out on a run right now and show you what it looks like when it's running around the Garden Railroad. But I will just say this, that these are worth, in my opinion, these are worth just every penny. And so we would highly recommend these.